Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam's 7th canto, chapter 9, entitled Prahlad Pacifies the Lord with Prayers. Text number 9. This particular sloka is the first of the prayers that Prahlad Maharaj is to offer to Lord Narasimhadev. You may say it is his introduction. The series of events that led to this historical moment are quite important to understand in order to comprehend who is Prahlad and why the Lord appeared exclusively out of his love for this child. We know the story. Hiranyakashipu, who by his tremendous determination performed such severe practice of tapasya that he attained powers that had never been seen by anyone less than Lord Brahma or Shiva in this universe. And he used those powers to satisfy his lust, his greed. Such determination, such a desire. He wanted to control the universe. He had a big desire, and he was willing to pay the price. Such severe austerities, even the greatest of sages and rishis who are seeking self-realization, it would be very difficult for them to perform. Rupa Goswami prays, with the same enthusiastic attachment that young boy and young girl may have for each other, we should attach ourselves to Krishna like that. In other words, Krishna conscious does not mean to exterminate our desires, but the same desires that are seeking to satisfy the selfish ego should simply be redirected to satisfy Krishna. Can you imagine if with the same intensity and determination that Hiranyakashipu was standing with his arms raised on his tiptoes for 100 celestial years, his body being eaten away by ants and insects, and he didn't move. He never moved. He didn't eat. He didn't drink. He didn't sleep, despite how much his body was paining him. He was so determined. Can you imagine, with that determination, if he chanted 16 rounds of japa? He would have been a great, great Vaishnava in a matter of days. But unfortunately, although he had every opportunity, he was overcome by the three modes of material nature. He was a puppet of his own passions, a puppet of his own ego. Yes, he was determined. and he fulfilled all of his desires. He was the controller of the universe. Not of a family, not of a company, not of a country, not even of a planet, of the universe. The demigods bowed down to him. I don't see anyone in this world today, however great they may be, that Indra and Vayu and Narada Muni and Chandra, they come down to offer obeisances with folded hands and ask, what order do you have me? That was Hiranyakashipu. It was based on his desire and his determined practice to fulfill his desire. But the nature of this world, mamupetya punarajanma dukalayam ashashvatam napnavanti mahatmana samsadim paramam gata. Great souls want to get out of this material consciousness because they know that it is dukalayam ashashvatam. No matter what arrangements you make, no matter how successful you are, it's a place of misery. Because there's an intrinsic problem with trying to enjoy in this world. You're not the controller. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Controller. And if we're not completely under his control, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti, we are in the energy of material nature, which is under his control. So here is Hiranyakashipu. Really a success story. There would be many articles about him everywhere. He was the wealthiest in wealth. He was the world champion in fighting. Undisputed. Nobody would even have a match against him. They all just surrendered just by his raising an eyebrow. He was the king of all the planets from Swargaloka down, and he could get anything he wanted. The burning fire of his desires was blazing, consuming everything and everyone. But despite all that, he could not control his own son. Prahlad, 5-year-old child. And he was so determined. By all his efforts, he tried to make Prahlad like him. He was depending on Prahlad. There was a lot of prestige issues involved. He was very attached to prestige, Hiranyakashipu. But his own son, what are people going to say? He's a Hare Krishna devotee. It's very difficult. And Hiranyakashipu proclaimed to the entire Asuric race that Vishnu is the number one enemy who must be destroyed. Why? Vishnu killed my brother, Hiranyaksha. And my brother was so dear to me. Hiranyaksha was really an obedient brother of Hiranyakashipu. He went out from planet to planet, conquering it, just for his brother's sake. Hiranyakashipu didn't want the kingdom. He was just conquering demigod after demigod, asura after asura. He was just going everywhere with his club. He even went to Varuna. Said, I'm taking over. Let's fight. Varuna said, I can't fight with you, Hiranyaksha. You are so strong, and I'm quite old these days. I've retired from all this fighting business. But if you really want a good match, Vishnu has appeared as a boar called Varaha. Go fight him. Ah, I will fight him. And he did. It was a good fight. But Hiranyaksha was killed. Varahadev, with one of his hooves, he just hit Hiranyaksha behind the neck and then pierced him with his tusk. Oh, can you imagine the blow to Hiranyakashipu? His number one supreme commander, general, his own younger brother, who was so obedient to him, and yet who terrorized the universe on his behalf, was killed by Vishnu. Now, Hiranyakashipu was not only powerful, he was also a reservoir of immense knowledge. He was actually an intellectual. And we find in the Bhagavatam some of the greatest slokas describing philosophy, which are even quoted by Vaishnavas, were spoken by Hiranyakashipu. He knew the Puranas. He knew such logic, such philosophy. He was a scholar, a Pandit. Hiranyakashipu Pandit. What an intellect he had. He knew who Vishnu was. But because of his arrogance, he could not conceive of anyone being better than him. He was so much deluded by Maya that he declared to his entire race a vow that he would personally sever the head of Lord Vishnu and drink the blood of Vishnu as an offering to the soul of his departed brother. Hare Krishna. Now, when a person with such an ego makes a vow before all his followers, and that's spread all over the place, it's a big prestige issue. And then what happens? After he conquers everybody, nobody dares to disobey him. His own little 5-year-old son, who's supposed to be his successor, is a devotee of Vishnu. And in the school where he sends his son to learn to be just like him, his son is preaching to everybody about being humble and being self-controlled and having no friends or no enemies, but loving everyone, being nonviolent. This was scandalous. Really, it was serious scandalous. We read about in these colleges and high schools and grade schools where kids are going in and shooting. Yes, horrible, what the age of Kali is doing to people's minds. Going in with guns and killing their classmates and killing their teachers. Even people they don't know, just for the sake of killing. Just to somehow or other vent the fire of misery in their own heart, their anxiety. They kill others. Well, actually, in a demoniac school like that of Shanda and Amarka, it was even more sensational and scandalous for someone to be preaching about bhakti to people who are being trained to kill like that for no good reason except just for your own ego and anger and vent your lust. They're being trained to kill like that. And he's preaching, vegetarianism. Two rakshasas. That's serious. This is not, think about it. This is not just, some people who go to McDonald's or, these are hardcore rakshasas. They eat humans as a delicacy. Drink the blood. And that's their pride. And Hiranyakashipu's teaching ahimsa. And the culmination is everyone should surrender to Vishnu by chanting Vishnu's holy names. And the teachers, they chastise Prahlad. You can't do this. What will happen to us? They were more concerned with them than Prahlad. What will your father do to us if he finds out about this? This is scandalous. And Prahlad was so respectful to them. He never argued. He bowed down to them. He touched their feet. He was very polite. He was respectful to everyone. But he spoke the truth. And one day when they went out and came back into the class, they were horrified that all the students, along with Prahlad, were performing Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. At that point, they had to present their son, Prahlad, to Hiranyakashipu. He's unmanageable. Sometimes teachers have to return the child to the parent and say, something, you have to deal with this at home. We can't deal with it anymore. Well, Hiranyakashipu decided to deal with it by murdering Prahlad. He used all of his powers and energy to kill that little child. And yet every day, Prahlad would bow down and touch Hiranyakashipu's feet and with folded hands, praise him. And then Hiranyakashipu would try to kill him in so many ways. And still the next day, Prahlad would just bow down and touch his feet to respect his father. Amazing little boy. But in the end, when Hiranyakashipu became so outrageous, Lord Narasimhadev appeared, roaring with anger. His anger was every time Prahlad was attacked by Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimhadev saved him. But his anger was mounting each time, again and again. The Supreme Lord's anger just kept mounting up and increasing until the culmination when Hiranyakashipu defied the Lord and was about to sever Prahlad's head with his sword. From the pillar, Narasimhadev appeared. And he was such an avatar that no one has ever seen. Hiranyakashipu could not even look at him. They fought. It is said that Lord Narasimhadev appeared around noon, and this battle went on till sunset. Lord Narasimhadev, he wanted to honor the benedictions that his devotee Brahma had given Hiranyakashipu. He could have killed him at noon. But then what would have happened to Brahma's reputation? He gave Hiranyakashipu the benediction, you will not be killed in day or night. He could have come in his four arms as Narayan. But Brahma gave the benediction that you will not be killed by any man or any demigod or any animal. So he came as neither an animal or a man or a demigod. So he appeared in this way, right at the dusk, when it's neither day or night. At that moment, he liberated Hiranyakashipu. Or as we said last night, it was the world's first gastrointestinal surgery. And it was a very successful surgery. It cured not only his intestinal diseases, but every disease Hiranyakashipu ever had. Free also. No charge. Krishnananda Prabhu was very concerned that I give that information. He did not ask for any donation either. After Hiranyakashipu was dead, the demigods from a distance, a very, very safe distance, were offering their prayers, hoping that the anger of Narasimhadev would subside. But it didn't. He was really angry. Now, for those who understand the subject a little deeply, we should contemplate just what was the anger of Lord Narasimhadev. That even the demigods, through their choicest prayers of devotion, could not pacify, could not even reduce slightly. He was just trembling with anger, even after Hiranyakashipu was dead. What was that anger? His anger at one who offends his devotee. This must be understood. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who Lord Narasimhadev is his expansion, incarnation, he warned us, do not offend the Lord's devotees. He compared it to the mad elephant offense. The mad elephant, there is no creature on earth more dangerous than a mad elephant. A snake can bite one or two people. A tiger can kill a few people. A leopard can do that too. But a mad elephant, when that substance starts flowing out of the body of a male elephant and they go mad, very dangerous. They go wild. They can just trample and villages. Anything that comes in their path is destroyed. Why is it such an offense? Why is it such? It's such an offense because the devotee is so dear to the Lord. And the Lord is so angry with offenses to his devotees. Now, impersonalists, it's hard for them to philosophically explain properly. Because for the spirit soul to achieve liberation, Vitadaga bhaya krodha manmaya manupashata bahavo jnanatapasa puta madbhavamagata. The great personalities of the past since ancient times, they are free from attachment, fear, and anger. Why? Because they're completely absorbed in the Lord and they take shelter of the Lord. So we become free of anger by taking shelter of the Lord, but we see the Lord is more angry than anybody. Hare Krishna. But this is not material anger. Material anger is due to unfulfilled desire. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhava. It's under the mode of passion and ignorance. But the Lord's anger is transcendental because it is simply out of love, pure love for His devotee. The demigods were very afraid. What is going to happen to the universe if His anger doesn't subside? They approached Brahma. Lord Brahma could not stand before Lord Nrsimhadev. So who else could pacify this anger of the Lord better than Lakshmi Devi, his own consort? So they approached Lakshmi. Please pacify your husband. Lakshmi Devi looked in wonder at this extraordinary form of Nrsimhadev. She knew it was her husband, but she never saw him in this mood. She never saw a form like this. She could not approach him. Brahma, even Shiva, who's the destroyer of the entire universe, he could not approach Lord Nrsimhadev. He became very shy. Not me. Finally, Lord Brahma approached Prahlad and said, the Lord has appeared for your sake. Please pacify him. Prahlad did not approach Lord Nrsimhadev because he didn't feel qualified. He felt to be the least amongst everyone. Here are all the greatest sages, rishis, yogis, devatas. They're all there afraid. They're all offering prayers to no avail. What is he going to do? He didn't come forward, raise his hand, and said, I'll go. He considered himself the least amongst everybody. But Lord Brahma said, please, approach the Lord. And Prahlad had not a trace of fear in his heart. Everyone else was fearful, but he had not a trace of fear. His heart was simply overbrimming with love. And he went right to the lotus feet of the Lord. Can you imagine? You know, we read about Allah and the Lord of Abraham and Moses, very powerful father. And when he's mad, but they're all insignificant manifestations of the supreme anger of the Lord, which manifested as Nrsimhadev. He was like an enormous mountain with bloody intestines as a garland of victory that he put on himself. Hare Krishna. Who can approach him? But Prahlad went right to his lotus feet and offered his prostrated obeisances. And Lord Nrsimhadev picked him up very gently and placed his hand on Prahlad's head. And now, today's verse, we hear Prahlad introducing himself to Lord Nrsimhadev. Because when we offer prayers to the Lord, the first thing we say is very important. Because that introduction in our prayer is is revealing to the Lord who we are in our own minds. Prahlad Maharaj, although he was the most qualified person, even Brahma and Shiva considered him the most qualified person in the entire creation to worship the Lord. His qualification was that in his own heart, he honestly felt he had no qualifications. And Srila Prabhupada explains here, one should not be falsely proud of his Vaishnav qualifications. Now, what are Vaishnav qualifications? Self-control, humility, respect for others, compassion to others, devotion. What to speak of being proud of our material qualifications? Vaishnav qualifications are anti-material. They're just the opposite of material qualifications. Yes? You can't be proud of your material qualifications, and you can't be proud of the qualifications that you have that are transcendental. You can't be proud of anything, except that you're just the insignificant servant of Guru and Krishna. That's all. If you think you're an advanced devotee, you don't try to approach Lord Nrsingadev. Because he doesn't want to hear anything you say. If you think you're better than any other devotee, there's something seriously wrong with your heart. Srila Prabhupada, in regard, is revealing the heart of Prahlad by quoting Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He considers himself so unqualified, lower than worms and stool and more sinful than Jagai and Madhai. In fact, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is praying to worship and honor the feet of every devotee, even the new devotee, who's just learning what is bhakti. Now, when he offers this prayer, he's already written a vast portion of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which the greatest acharyas worship as a supreme literature. It has gone down in history as the postgraduate study of Srimad Bhagavatam, written by Vyasadeva. Can you imagine? What an exalted personality he is. Vyasadeva, he compiled the 4 Vedas, the Upanishad, the Puranas, the Itihastas, many Samhitas, vast library of literatures. He summed it all up in essence as the Vedanta Sutra. And then he wrote his own commentary on the Vedanta Sutra as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is declared to be the very essence, sum, and study of all knowledge. It's the graduate study of all Vedas. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study. It begins where the Srimad Bhagavatam culminates. And he's writing this literature. On the order of the great Goswamis like Raghunath Das, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Lokanath Goswami, Janava Devi, the consort of Nityananda Prabhu. They have all blessed him to do it. It's a book of spotless, eloquent Sanskrit, philosophy, Bengali, revealing the most esoteric, deepest truths of the spiritual world. And yet he's thinking, not just speaking, but Prabhupada says, actually thinking that even the new devotee is better than me. New devotee doesn't even know he's not the body yet. Yes? You're just telling him, you're not the body. Really? Are you serious? After all this time that I'm trying to enjoy this body, it's not me? No, it's not you. You're the soul. Really? Amazing. You have to follow 4 regulative principles. This is going to be very difficult. I can't commit myself yet. I'm not going to take any vows yet. He thinks himself lower than that person. He's bowing down to that person. He wants to serve the person and take the dust from his feet. Not just in words, but actually feeling that way. One should not be proud of one's material qualifications. One should not be proud of one's non-material qualifications.